Listen carefully. The life you're living right now is not an accident. It's a printout of the program running beneath your awareness. Your subconscious mind does not sleep. It does not question. It executes. It is the power plant behind every decision, every reaction, and every moment of victory or defeat you've ever experienced. If you want to change your life, stop wrestling with the surface and dig into the source. Reprogram the machine beneath the machine. You cannot plant weeds and expect roses. Every time you say, I can't, I'm not good enough, or it's too hard, you drop seeds into the soil of your subconscious, and it never forgets what you planted. If your life feels like it's fighting against you, it's likely because your subconscious is doing exactly what it was told to do. You didn't get unlucky. You got programmed by repetition, by emotion, by the people around you. But here's the good news. If it was programmed, it can be reprogrammed. You must understand your subconscious accepts what is repeated with emotion, not what is true, what is repeated. You don't need to believe something immediately for it to take root. You need to declare it, repeat it, and emotionally commit to it. Say it until you feel it. Say it until it feels like oxygen. Say it until your subconscious accepts it as law. That's how you change your wiring. The world doesn't bend to effort. It bends to alignment. You can work 16 hours a day and still stay broken if your subconscious believes you're meant to be. The outer world bows to the inner blueprint. Want change? Then stop just working harder. Start imprinting clearer. Clarity is power. Vagueness kills dreams. Don't just say, I want success. That's empty. Say, I am a powerful, disciplined, unstoppable force with a vision so clear it burns. That's a command your subconscious can follow. Emotion is the secret key. If you whisper your desires like they're a maybe, your subconscious ignores you. Speak them with emotion like they're already yours. That emotion turns your words into fire. Your subconscious listens to fire, it listens to hunger, it listens to obsession, and once it's locked in, it will hunt for your goals without you even realizing it. It'll place you in the right rooms. It'll make you speak with conviction. It'll push you toward people, ideas, and opportunities that match the new code you've written inside. Everything you accept in your mind becomes a command to your subconscious. That's why you must choose your thoughts like you choose your future, because that's exactly what you're doing. You cannot say you want to win and still tolerate thoughts of defeat. Your subconscious doesn't respond to words. It responds to domination. Whatever dominates your thoughts becomes your lifestyle, period. And don't forget this, your self-image is your ceiling. You will never outperform the identity your subconscious holds. If you see yourself as average, even your best efforts will sabotage themselves to keep you in that box. Change the image, and you change the outcome. See yourself as powerful, and your subconscious will begin the work of aligning every cell of your body to that image. Walk like it. Talk like it. Think like it, until it's no longer an act, but your identity. Finally, visualization is not wishful thinking, it is preparation. Every time you visualize with intensity, you are rehearsing your future. You're sending instructions to your subconscious to build that reality. Athletes do it, warriors do it, leaders do it. The masses dream while the few construct. Build your world in your mind first. That's how the invisible becomes real. So here's your wake-up call. You're not stuck, you're programmed. And the only way out is to reclaim the steering wheel of your subconscious. Speak power. Think power. Feel power. Repeat it until the walls shake. There is no maybe in transformation. There is only decision, and then repetition until it becomes your nature. The question is, are you willing to speak to yourself with the same intensity you demand from life? Because the moment you do, everything changes. Your subconscious mind is a silent architect. Every thought you accept is a blueprint it begins to build. It does not argue with you. It does not evaluate your statements. It does not filter your dreams from your doubts. It simply receives whatever you consistently give it and gets to work. You may not see the construction happening, but it's happening, quietly, relentlessly, and with total obedience. The life you're living today, the habits you operate under, the limits you feel pressing against your potential, they're not random. They are the finished product of subconscious blueprints laid down by your own thoughts, repeated over time, often without you realizing it. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are a product of mental construction. Whether you're living in a mansion of strength or a prison of limitation, you built it with your own mental blueprints. And if you built it, you can rebuild it. There is no magic in changing your life. There is only mastery of your inner language. Most people are trapped, not because they lack talent, not because they lack opportunity, but because they never learn to speak correctly to themselves. They let fear whisper, they let self-doubt echo, they let the opinions of others take root, and over time those weak thoughts became strong commands. Every "I'm not good enough," every "I can't do this," every "this is too much for me" was absorbed by the subconscious and accepted as truth. And once that truth is stored, it becomes law. You cannot outwork the law written in your subconscious mind. You can fight for a time, you can hustle for a season, but if the programming at your core says you're meant to lose, then the outcome is inevitable unless you change the code. Change does not begin in action. Change begins in identity. You must decide who you are long before the world believes you. You must see yourself as powerful before there's any proof. Because your subconscious doesn't wait for permission from your surroundings. It listens only to what you consistently feed it. It cannot distinguish truth from lie, only frequency from silence. Tell it you are strong over and over, and eventually it will turn that statement into instinct. Tell it you are a leader, not once but repeatedly with belief, and it will begin crafting the character to match that claim. The world bends for the man who refuses to bend in his mind. Not the loudest man, not the flashiest man. The one with internal certainty that burns like fire and doesn't flinch under pressure. The real battle is not in the marketplace, not on the stage, not in the gym or the boardroom. The real battle is in the quiet of your mind when no one is watching, and the old voices of failure try to speak louder than your new vision. That is where warriors are made. That is where success is shaped. You do not win because the world believes in you. You win because your subconscious does. And your subconscious only believes what it hears repeatedly, especially when it's backed by emotion. You want your subconscious to obey your ambition? Then speak with emotional force. Declare it like your life depends on it. Because it does. Too many people think repetition is boring. They don't understand that repetition is transformation. Every affirmation is not a cute phrase. It is a construction order. Every time you visualize, you are giving your subconscious coordinates for your future. Every time you speak life into your identity, your subconscious begins the process of aligning your actions, your emotions, your instincts with that image. You must become obsessed with the version of you that wins. You must see it, feel it, speak it, and protect that image like it's sacred. Because it is. That image is your map. Without it, you wander. With it, you conquer. There is no room for hesitation in this process. The subconscious does not respond to half-hearted commands. It only reacts to clarity and certainty. If you hesitate, it stalls. If you doubt, it delays. But when you move with unshakable certainty, when your words, your thoughts, and your emotions all point in one direction, the subconscious becomes a machine. It starts pulling resources, people, ideas, strength, and energy from places you didn't even know existed. And the best part is it happens automatically. Once the program is in place, the engine runs on its own. But first, you have to write the code. You are always programming your subconscious. The only question is whether you're doing it by design or by default. Most people live in default mode. They absorb the negativity, the mediocrity, the fear of the masses, and then wonder why their life doesn't rise. But those who rise, those who break cycles, those who shatter ceilings, they are deliberate. They feed their mind with power every single day. They reject weak thoughts like poison. They speak strength, they breathe belief, they build bold visions, and they burn old limitations to the ground. They don't ask for permission to think like champions. They command their minds to become one. Your subconscious will believe whatever you tell it, so tell it something worth believing. Feed it with vision so clear that the world starts bending in your direction. There is no excuse for staying small when you understand the power inside you. If you can imprint it, you can live it. If you can feel it before it happens, the world has no choice but to catch up. No one is coming to fix your mindset. No one is coming to plant the right seeds for you. That's your job. And if you truly want to win completely, without apology, without compromise, then the first victory must happen in the silent chambers of your own subconscious mind. Speak with power, think with precision, believe with obsession, and never let weakness speak louder than your mission. Whatever dominates your inner dialogue becomes the reality you live in. Guard your thoughts like treasure. Your internal voice is not a casual companion. It is the sculptor of your destiny. It is the first and last voice you hear every day, and what it says determines how you see, how you act, and ultimately what you achieve. Most people let their inner voice run wild, repeating fears, replaying failures, reinforcing mediocrity, and they wonder why their lives reflect chaos, confusion, or stagnation. But those who rise, those who conquer, those who change the game, they understand that mastering the inner dialogue is the first commandment of transformation. They speak to themselves with intention, with clarity, with power, because they know their subconscious is always listening, always obeying, always building based on the words it. Here's most the truth is, you're never not talking to yourself. Every moment of your life you're narrating what's happening, forecasting what's coming, and labeling who you are. And every word you say about yourself, your situation, or your ability either moves you forward or keeps you stuck. If you constantly say, I can't, your subconscious prepares for defeat. If you say, this is who I am and I'm not changing, your subconscious slams the door on growth. But if you say, I am built for this, I grow stronger every day, I bend reality to match my vision, your subconscious begins to activate that identity. It doesn't matter what's real now. What matters is what you believe with enough intensity to make real tomorrow. You must realize the danger of loose language. Words that feel harmless on the surface become chains in the mind. I'm tired. I'm overwhelmed. I'm just not good at this. Say it enough and you'll start to live by it. And worse, you'll start to defend it. You'll fight for your limitations because your inner dialogue convinced you they were facts. That's how people stay stuck in cycles for years, because they trusted the voice that came from fear more than the voice that could come from fire. But the mind doesn't care which voice you choose. It just follows the dominant one. And that's the key, dominance. This is not about empty affirmations or surface-level positivity. This is about declaring war on any thought that doesn't serve your vision. It's about refusing to let doubt, fear, guilt, or limitation speak unchecked. It's about programming your inner voice with the same discipline you would use to train your body, because the consequences are even more permanent. Muscles can be rebuilt. Time can be redeemed. But years of repeated mental defeat take root deep. And to uproot that, you must speak with fire. Not once, not twice, daily, hourly, relentlessly. Most people fail, not because they lack the skill, but because they never took control of the voice inside. They tried to succeed while listening to a voice that said they couldn't. They showed up to life like warriors, but inside they were repeating phrases of defeat. And that misalignment is what causes burnout, frustration, and sabotage. You can't build a powerful life on a foundation of weak thoughts. You must go to war with anything inside you that doesn't reflect strength, certainty, and hunger. You must rewire the conversation and speak like your future is listening. Because there is a version of you that only emerges when your inner dialogue becomes bulletproof, when it's no longer swayed by setbacks, when it doesn't crack under pressure, when it responds to obstacles with, watch me. That version doesn't wait for proof. That version creates proof. And the only way to unlock it is to speak to yourself as if you're already that person. Not when you feel like it, not when things are easy, especially when they're not. That's when the voice matters most. When life hits, when things go silent, when doubt creeps in, that's when the voice must rise louder, stronger, clearer than ever before. Your thoughts are not just echoes, they are commands, they are instructions. And the subconscious doesn't debate them, it just accepts and executes. So if your internal dialogue is dominated by thoughts of power, strength, clarity, and vision, then everything in your being begins to organize around those ideas. Your emotions follow, your behaviors change, Your energy shifts. You attract differently. You move differently. And people feel it even before you say a word. Because true transformation begins in the voice no one hears, but you cannot afford to be casual with your mind. The stakes are too high. Every day you let fear speak louder than vision. You're building a life that matches fear. Every time you rehearse failure, you reinforce it. But every time you speak with conviction about the future you're building, you move one step closer to it. So make your inner voice your greatest weapon. Turn it into a command center of discipline, power, and unwavering belief. Let it be the voice that silences excuses, crushes distractions, and keeps your eyes locked on the mission, because the reality you live in tomorrow will be built by the words you repeat today. If you guard your thoughts like treasure, if you protect your inner world like it's sacred ground, then no external circumstance can shake what you've built. Your inner dialogue is your most loyal soldier or your greatest traitor. Choose wisely, speak power, command certainty, dominate the conversation inside, and the world outside will have no choice but to follow repetition as the gateway. What you repeat to your subconscious becomes your belief and then your fate. This is not poetry. This is law. Your subconscious mind does not know the difference between truth and lie, real and imagined, fact and fiction. It only knows what it hears again and again with certainty. It absorbs what is repeated and begins to accept it as reality. It doesn't ask for logic. It doesn't wait for proof. It simply records the message and builds your behavior, your perception, and your future based on that data. If you repeat weakness, your mind will build limitations. If you repeat power, your mind will shape your world to match that strength. Every champion, every leader, every person who has changed their life from the inside out has first mastered the art of deliberate repetition. They don't repeat what they feel. They repeat what they want to become. They don't wait for belief to show up before they speak. They speak until belief is forced to arrive. This is how the mind is trained, by consistent, relentless input. One statement may pass by unnoticed. One moment of motivation may fade. But repetition makes it permanent. It carves identity, and identity drives destiny. If you say, I am disciplined every day with emotion, with fire, with intention, your mind will begin to look for ways to prove it true. Your habits will shift. Your choices will adjust. Your standards will rise to match the message that's been hardwired through repetition. Most people never become what they could be because they are casual with what they say over and over again. They repeat sarcasm, self-deprecation, complaints, doubt, and then they wonder why life feels like a closed door. You can't feed your subconscious with decay and expect growth. You can't expect excellence while repeating mediocrity. Every time you say something, you are casting a vote for the person you're becoming, and every vote counts. This is not about fake positivity. This is about choosing repetition as a weapon of transformation. It is about brainwashing yourself on purpose with thoughts that elevate instead of those that enslave. It is easy to underestimate the power of small words, said often. One declaration may feel weak today. One affirmation may seem foolish when you don't yet believe it. But say it again. Say it again tomorrow. Say it again when you fail. Say it again when you win. Say it until it becomes part of your nervous system, until you don't have to think about it, until your body responds in alignment with your new identity. The world does not respond to what you say once. It responds to what you say repeatedly, until your subconscious locks onto it like a missile locked onto its target. This is how fear is built, repetition. This is how confidence is built, repetition. The only difference is the direction. Fear is repeated failure. Confidence is repeated strength. You choose which one grows by what you say, what you listen to, and what you focus on daily. When you were a child, you were programmed through repetition. If someone told you long enough that you were not good enough, it sank deep into the subconscious and became a belief. But here's the power you now have. You can reverse it. You can uproot it. You can replace it, not overnight, not instantly, but through strategic emotional repetition of a new truth. You must become a master of your inputs. What you hear most, you become. What you speak most, you live. If your environment is filled with weak language, you must create a new one inside your own mind. You must become your own broadcaster of strength. Speak your standards. Declare your future. Announce your identity, not for show, not for others, but to program your mind to follow the new frequency. You're not just saying things to feel good, you're issuing commands. You're sending instructions to the control center of your being. And if you're consistent, your subconscious will have no choice but to obey. Repetition is how you override the old operating system. You've got years of old thinking, outdated labels, and false identities stacked up inside your subconscious. You don't erase that with a single burst of inspiration. You erase it by overriding it every single day with new thoughts, new declarations, and new standards. You do it when it's boring. You do it when it feels pointless. You do it when no one else understands what you're doing. That's what separates the disciplined from the distracted. The disciplined repeat greatness until it becomes real. The distracted repeat excuses until nothing changes. Do not underestimate the grind of mental repetition. It is not sexy. It is not glamorous. But it is the foundation of all transformation. Most people want change but don't want to speak it daily. Most people want success but don't want to declare it through discomfort. They want new results with old routines. But the ones who win, the ones who rise, the ones who rewrite their story, they understand that the mind must be hammered into alignment. And that hammer is repetition. You don't tap it once and walk away. You swing every day until the thoughts you speak are the thoughts you believe, and the thoughts you believe become the life you live. You are not waiting on motivation. You are not hoping for confidence. You are not wishing for belief. You are building them through repetition. Your future is not found. It is constructed, one repeated thought at a time. So speak like you already have it. Think like it's already yours. Repeat until the man you're becoming is louder than the one you're leaving behind. Emotion is fuel. Attach deep emotion to your desires, and your subconscious will chase them like survival. This is the difference between goals that fade and goals that ignite. Logic is weak without emotion. You can list all the reasons you want success, but if you don't feel it in your bones, your subconscious won't move. It doesn't respond to cold intentions. It responds to fire. It needs to believe that what you want is not just a preference, but a necessity. The subconscious mind is wired for survival, and when you give it a reason to connect your goal with your survival instinct, it will begin to pursue that goal with a hunger you cannot fake. You don't need more discipline, you need more emotional connection to what you say you want. The fire must come first, and once it's lit, everything begins to align. Your subconscious cannot be tricked by surface-level words. It listens to what you feel. When you speak of your vision, do you feel it? Do you see it? Do you attach a level of urgency to it that feels like life or death? If not, don't expect it to materialize. The mind is lazy by default. It must be awakened by emotion. It has to be shocked out of complacency by intensity. You've got to look at your vision and feel something so real, so raw, so necessary that your body starts to move in alignment before the world even notices. It is not about repeating hollow affirmations. It's about driving those affirmations deep into your nervous system with passion and belief. The man who speaks his vision with tears in his eyes, with energy in his voice, with force in his soul, that man is dangerous because he cannot be denied. Most people talk about dreams like they're optional. They speak of success like it's a nice bonus if it happens. That's why they lose. Because when life punches them, when resistance rises, when results don't come fast, they quit. Why? Because the desire had no emotional weight. It wasn't rooted in pain or love or rage or destiny. It was just something they thought they wanted. But when your goal is laced with the memory of every time you were doubted, when it's tied to the promise you made to your family, when it's connected to the vision of your future, that makes your blood boil with urgency. Now the game changes. Now you've attached your vision to survival, and the subconscious will fight for it the same way it would fight to breathe. This is why visualization works for some and not others. The image is not enough. You must feel it. You must feel the victory before it's yours. You must feel the joy of achieving it and the pain of living without it. That emotional contrast is what activates the subconscious. That is what sends the signal that this is non-negotiable. Most people live in mental gray zones. No extremes, no highs, no lows, just vague intentions and casual efforts. But success does not come to the indifferent. It comes to the emotionally obsessed. The man who wakes up thinking about his vision, who breathes it all day, who dreams of it at night, that man programs his subconscious to chase it with military precision. You must learn to manufacture emotion. Create rituals that spark your emotional fire. Look at your goals and ask yourself why they matter. Go deeper. What will it cost you if you don't achieve them? What pain will you feel? What regrets will haunt you? And on the other side, what will it mean when you win? Who will you become? Or what legacy will you leave? These are not just journal questions. These are mental weapons. When you answer them with honesty and depth, you activate your core. That's what the subconscious listens to. It moves when the heart is involved. It runs when the soul demands movement. Emotion is not weakness. It's power. The strongest men are not the coldest. They are the most connected. They know how to use emotion to fuel action. They take their anger, their fear, their pain, their dreams, and they compress all of it into energy. They don't run from emotion. They weaponize it. They attach it to their vision so intensely that giving up is no longer an option. The subconscious mind, once programmed with that level of emotion, begins to work like a heat-seeking missile. It locks onto the vision. It tunes out distractions. It seeks opportunities. It drives you toward the target, whether you're ready or not. This is how men break through plateaus. This is how they rise when others quit. They don't rely on motivation. They build emotional anchors so deep that the storms of life can't shake them. When everyone else gets tired, they get sharper. When others slow down, they speed up, because their subconscious has been rewired to chase that vision as if their life depends on it, and in a way it does. Not just their physical life, but the life they were born to live. The one with power, the one with purpose, the one that leaves something behind, that matters. No more chasing goals without fire, no more dreaming without emotional weight. From now on, everything you pursue must be tied to the deepest part of you. Speak your vision with emotion. Visualize it with emotion. Declare it with force. And feel it like it's already yours. When you do that, your subconscious will go to work. And it won't stop. It will hunt down the path. It will cut through fear. It will push past resistance. Because when emotion and vision collide, the subconscious doesn't ask questions. It just executes. You are always programming your subconscious, by default or design. Choose design. Every word you speak, every belief you entertain, every emotion you dwell in is feeding instructions into the subconscious mind. Whether you know it or not, whether you want it or not, your subconscious is listening, and it is building. It does not care whether the blueprint is chaos or clarity. It simply builds according to what it's given. The tragedy is that most people live by default. They let circumstances decide their beliefs. They let other people's opinions shape their identity. They react, repeat, absorb, and imitate without questioning if what's being installed in their subconscious is actually serving them. That's how average is manufactured, automatically, unconsciously, without resistance. But power is forged differently. Power begins when you realize you are the architect. When you wake up to the fact that every mental repetition is either building your future or burying it. If you don't decide what gets planted, the weeds will take over. That's how people stay trapped in cycles they don't even understand. They keep programming fear without knowing it. They keep replaying trauma and wonder why peace won't stay. They keep affirming weakness and are surprised when strength doesn't show up. This is not fate. This is not personality. This is programming. And programming can be changed, but only by those bold enough to choose design over default. Design means intentionality. It means you don't just let any thought pass through without inspection. You guard your inner world like a fortress. You speak with awareness. You act with alignment. You think with vision. You do not allow failure to become identity. You do not allow delay to become doubt. You speak the truth of where you're going, not just the facts of where you are. Because the subconscious responds to direction, not to circumstance. If you tell it you're defeated, it accepts and multiplies defeat. But if you tell it you're rising, it builds the strength to support that rise. This is how men reinvent themselves. not by luck, not by chance, but by repetition of new instruction until the subconscious forgets the old script and follows the new one. Do not confuse casual thinking with harmless thinking. There's no such thing as a neutral thought. Every single idea you repeat either reinforces a belief that pushes you forward or cements one that holds you back. If you say, "I'm not good at that," your subconscious agrees. If you say, "I don't belong in that room," your subconscious prepares to retreat. But if you say, "I'm learning, I'm building, I'm dominating," your subconscious begins to see that as the truth. And once it accepts something as truth, it filters the world to support that belief. This is why the man who speaks strength starts seeing strength. This is why the man who commands victory starts finding ways to win. The mind begins to align with the story you repeat. The most design your inner world with the same precision you'd use to build a house. You would never let someone else walk in and decide where the walls go. You wouldn't let a stranger install broken wiring or crooked doors. Yet people do this with their minds every single day. They let the media, the noise, the critics, the failures dictate the structure of their thinking. That's why their lives look like abandoned construction sites. No order, no progress, no control. But the builder who follows a blueprint, who checks every piece, who watches every line, that builder creates a masterpiece. Your mind works the same. Give it a blueprint that demands greatness and feed it until it can't believe anything else. You must become ruthless about the messages you allow to take root. Design means repetition. It means your rituals reflect who you're becoming. Your environment reflects your standards. Your language reflects your future. It means you cut off voices that speak decay. It means you no longer let your past define your identity. It means you wake up every day and speak your future out loud. Not once, but until the subconscious takes over and begins to walk you toward it without hesitation. That is real power. When belief becomes automatic, when action becomes instinct, when vision becomes your operating system, you don't get to stop programming. The only question is, who's doing it? You or the world? Are you choosing your thoughts, or are they just leftovers from yesterday's chaos? Are you leading your mind, or is it still running on outdated orders from your childhood, your failures, your fear? The man who refuses to lead his subconscious will always be a prisoner of it. But the man who takes command becomes unstoppable. He's not just reacting, he's creating. He's not just surviving, he's designing a future so vivid, so clear, so emotionally real that his mind begins to bring it into form. This is not theory. This is law. The law of the mind is simple. What is repeated with emotion becomes reality. And you are repeating something every day. So raise the standard. Interrupt the old patterns. Install new ones that serve your mission. Let your subconscious hear the voice of your future louder than the echo of your past. Let it feel the certainty of your purpose more than the pull of your excuses. Because once your subconscious is aligned with your vision, nothing can stop the momentum. You will move with clarity. You will walk with command. And the world will bend to the will of a man who chose to design instead of drift. You will never outperform your self-image. Train your subconscious to see the version of you that wins. This is the truth most ignore while chasing success. You can build habits, stack goals, grind every day, but if your subconscious image of yourself is still small, weak, or broken, you will sabotage every step forward. Your results will never exceed the identity your subconscious believes is true. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your inner picture. And that picture must be rebuilt if you expect to dominate in anything that matters. Every man walks in alignment with the vision he holds of himself deep in the subconscious. If he sees himself as average, that's the ceiling. If he sees himself as inconsistent, that's the reality he fulfills. Even if he tries harder, pushes further, reads more, the moment pressure hits, he retreats to the identity that's been programmed. That's why the world is filled with talented men who go nowhere. It's not their ability, it's their image. And that image can be changed. It must be changed. You don't need more motivation. You need a new picture of yourself burned so deep into your subconscious that the old version no longer has space to breathe. The subconscious doesn't care what's true. It only cares what's repeated with certainty. And when you feed it the same tired story, I'm not good enough, I always mess up, I can't compete with them, it listens, it believes, and then it executes. So stop feeding it lies that keep you small. Begin to see the version of you that dominates the room, not hides in the corner. Picture the man who speaks with confidence, moves with purpose, executes with discipline. See him every day. Visualize him in detail. Walk like him. Talk like him. Speak your name like it carries weight. Because the mind follows the image, and the body follows the mind. This is not fake it till you make it. This is train it until it becomes automatic. Every time you imagine that higher version of yourself and feel it as if it's real, you are rewiring your subconscious. You are telling it, this is who I am now, not someday, now. And when you do that long enough, with enough clarity, with enough emotion, your subconscious begins to believe it. And once it believes it, you don't have to force confidence. It becomes instinct. You don't have to fake strength. It flows naturally. Because you're no longer fighting the old you. You've replaced him. Most men never do this work. They train their bodies, not their identity. They study tactics, not their self-image. So they keep living on repeat. They break momentum every time their subconscious says, this is too much for you, but not you. You will break that cycle by building a new internal standard, not just with affirmations, but with clarity. You need to see him in your mind, the champion version of you, in detail. What time does he wake up? How does he walk into a room? How does he respond when things fall apart? Picture it, practice it, burn it in. Because repetition is what teaches your subconscious to obey a new vision. This is mental conditioning. You don't get this in one day. You don't install a new identity with a single moment of hype. You do it daily, in silence, when no one's watching. You do it when the old image tries to creep back in. You do it when fear tells you to stay small. You override it with the new image, the one that's been trained, sharpened, and set on fire. And over time, your actions begin to match that image automatically. You say no to what weakens you. You say yes to what sharpens you. Not because you're trying, but because it's who you are now. A man's self-image determines his future. If he sees himself as a leader, he becomes one. If he sees himself as a weapon, his results start cutting through limits. This isn't ego. This is alignment. The version of you that wins already exists in your mind. But it's your job to make that version louder than the voice of your past. Speak like him. Move like him. Think like him. Rehearse his decisions. Embody his presence. This is how you elevate from surviving to dominating. Not by chasing perfection, but by elevating your internal standard of who you believe you are. You want more out of life? Then stop living from the version of you who settles. Start feeding your subconscious with the version that owns the room. The version who demands respect by how he carries himself. Who speaks with conviction. Who backs his words with discipline. Who doesn't wait for permission or applause. That version isn't waiting to be found. He's waiting to be activated. And the switch is in your hands. The war is always inside. And the weapon is always your self-image. You either use it to stay trapped or to break through. You either accept the old version and live beneath your power, or you train your mind to believe in the man you're becoming until reality catches up. There's no middle ground. See it, speak it, live it, until the world has no choice but to believe it too. The subconscious responds only to clarity and conviction, not doubt, not hesitation. It doesn't obey vague wishes or half-hearted intentions. It reacts only to the messages that are repeated with unwavering belief and emotional intensity. You can't trick it with weak affirmations or empty ambition. It knows when you're uncertain. It hears the hesitation behind your goals, and when doubt lingers, it stalls. The subconscious waits for clear instruction, and until it gets it, it will not act. This is why most people stay stuck. They feed their mind confusion and expect power. But the subconscious cannot build a castle on a shaky blueprint. Clarity is the starting point of all creation. You must know exactly what you want, feel it is already done, and declare it like it's law. Not maybe, not someday, but now. You don't tell your subconscious, I hope I succeed. You say, I am succeeding, I am becoming, I am built for this. It listens to finality, not possibility. It responds to certainty, not indecision. The moment you speak with clarity, you activate a force inside that begins to shape reality around your internal command. But it must be specific. It must be sharp. You don't say, I want more money. You say, I earn this much by this date doing work I love. You don't say, I want to be confident. You say, I speak with power, I move with purpose, and I own every room I enter. Conviction is what gives your words weight. It's the energy behind the command. You could say the right words and get no result if the emotion behind them is weak. But when you speak your vision like it's truth, your subconscious begins to rewire. It starts aligning your decisions, your focus, your behavior with the image you've burned in. That's why half-hearted goals fail. They lack emotional fire. They lack spiritual force. The subconscious needs to feel like your desire is life or death. If you want to move the needle, you must speak like a man who has already claimed the outcome. Like a general giving orders. Like a king declaring law. No room for negotiation. No tolerance for inner conflict. This is not about arrogance. It's about authority. Authority over your own mind. You were never meant to be a slave to circumstance. You were meant to lead your inner world. But leadership requires direction. You cannot lead with confusion. You cannot influence your subconscious if you're constantly contradicting yourself. You say you want success, then talk about how hard it is. You say you want discipline, then call yourself lazy. That split message paralyzes the subconscious. It doesn't know which script to follow. So it waits, and you stay stuck until you commit fully, completely to a new narrative. You must become ruthless with clarity. Ask yourself, what do I want? What does it look like? What does it feel like? What is the cost if I don't get it? What must I become to deserve it? Then take those answers and repeat them until your subconscious has no choice but to follow. This is how elite minds are built, not by chance, but by internal command. They speak their outcome into existence so often, so vividly, with such conviction that the subconscious treats it as current reality. And once that happens, momentum is automatic. Most men wait for certainty to appear, but you create it. You don't need proof to have conviction, you need decision. You need a line drawn in your mind that says, this is who I am now. Not I'll try, not I hope it works. You erase the option to retreat. You delete the language of weakness. You remove the voice of hesitation, and you replace it with repetition of the vision you've chosen. Even when fear shows up, even when doubt whispers, you override it with conviction, because that's what programs the subconscious emotional repetition of the chosen belief. Every great transformation begins with a moment of clarity followed by consistent reinforcement. You see the man you must become. You speak his truth daily. You act in line with that truth, even when results haven't caught up. That gap is where most people fold. But you hold. You persist. You train your subconscious to keep building even when nothing around you confirms the vision. That's when change gets dangerous. That's when the subconscious shifts from observer to builder. It starts seeing your commands as reality. And it will not stop until they manifest. You do not need to feel ready. You need to decide. The moment you do, clarity returns. And the more you reinforce that clarity, the deeper the programming becomes. You must tell your mind what to believe until it can't believe anything else. Say it in the morning. Say it when you're tired. Say it when it's working. Say it when it looks like nothing's happening. Repetition builds belief. Belief fuels conviction. And conviction turns thought into action. That is how you take control of your subconscious. Not by hoping, not by waiting, but by leading with clarity and never backing down. So stop sending mixed signals. Stop speaking in doubt. Speak in declarations. Choose who you are becoming and burn that image into your subconscious every single day. Clarity first. Conviction always. And the subconscious will follow, because it was built to obey the strongest voice in your mind. Make that voice impossible to ignore. If you can imprint it, you can live it. Visualization is not daydreaming, it's construction in the invisible. It's how empires are built before a brick is ever laid. Every dominant achievement in history began first in the theater of the mind, rehearsed repeatedly until it became a living reality in the subconscious. Visualization is the act of seeing your future so vividly, so precisely, that your subconscious begins to accept it as truth and reshapes your habits, thoughts, and identity too. Match. This is not fantasy. This is mental construction. And the man who understands this principle holds a tool more powerful than anything external. Your subconscious cannot distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. That is the law. If you see it with clarity and feel it with emotion, it responds. And once it responds, it starts building. The tragedy is most people visualize defeat without realizing it. They see themselves failing. They rehearse rejection. They predict disaster. And their subconscious follows those blueprints faithfully. They call it realism, but it's self-sabotage on autopilot. You must take control of the images you play in your mind because they are not neutral. They are seeds. And those seeds grow into behavior, identity, and results. Visualization is not a passive escape. It is a command. You are instructing your subconscious to begin the transformation now, before the evidence shows up. The man who waits for proof will always be late. The man who visualizes with precision leads his results into existence. You must see the room before you walk into it. You must feel the win before it ever comes. You must mentally rehearse the performance, the presence, the decision-making of your highest self until your subconscious recognizes it as normal. The goal is not hype. The goal is neural rewiring. You are laying the tracks of your future through repetition. When you visualize, you must do it with intensity. Lazy imagination builds nothing. You must feel the weight of the wind, hear the sounds, smell the air, walk through the scene with full attention and emotion. If you want to own the result, you must first build the emotional bond with it. Your subconscious responds to emotion more than logic. So don't just think about being powerful. See yourself stepping into the room with undeniable energy. See yourself speaking with command. Watch your movements. Hear your voice. Taste the victory. Do it again and again until the old version of you begins to dissolve. This is not something you do once and expect a revolution. This is daily work. Every morning you plant the seed. Every night you reinforce the image. You don't skip this process, you protect it, you prioritize it. Because it is in these moments that your future is decided. The more often you rehearse your desired outcome, the more comfortable your subconscious becomes with success. And once it's comfortable, it begins to seek it. It starts removing resistance. It begins generating action that aligns with the image. And suddenly, you find yourself behaving as the version of you that used to only exist in imagination. Understand this deeply. If you can see it with clarity and feel it with certainty, it begins to form. That is why your internal pictures matter more than your external circumstances. The world will tell you to be realistic, but that's a trap. What they call realism is often just repetition of limitation. You don't need to reflect your current reality. You need to project your future one so powerfully that your mind has no choice but to comply. This is how elite athletes win before the game starts. This is how visionaries bend the world to match what they've already seen. They don't wait to feel like winners. They feel like winners until the world agrees. Repetition is the engine. You don't visualize once. You live there. You build that image like a sculptor builds a masterpiece, stroke by stroke, layer by layer, until it becomes undeniable. Every time you visualize, you are training your nervous system, strengthening neural pathways, and aligning your behaviors with a predetermined outcome. You will begin to walk differently, speak differently, think differently, because your subconscious starts believing it already happened. That belief becomes momentum. That momentum becomes inevitability. This is how you move from hoping to knowing. No one can do this for you. You must own the discipline. You must close your eyes and see it before you see it. You must protect your vision from the noise, the critics, the setbacks, because the world will try to dim your inner image. It will test your resolve. And in those moments, you must go deeper into visualization, not back away. You must remind your mind, this is where I live now. This is who I am becoming. This is what I've already built in the unseen. That level of certainty forces reality to bend. Train like it's already yours. Walk like the door's already open. Speak like the outcome is guaranteed. Because if you do this long enough, the subconscious accepts it. And when it accepts, it builds. It doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't need explanation. It executes. And that's how you separate yourself from the world, by constructing your next level in the invisible until it breaks through into the physical. So understand this. Your subconscious is not your enemy. It is your engine. It will drive wherever you command it, but the command must be clear. It must be backed by belief, and it must be repeated until no other reality exists in your mind. See the outcome before the world sees it. Speak the future before it arrives. Condition your mind to act from power, not permission. Because once your subconscious is aligned, resistance dies, hesitation vanishes, and momentum becomes natural. You won't have to force the path. You will become the path. This isn't about talent. This isn't about luck. This is about mastery of the one thing most men never train, the inner world that builds everything else. So stop waiting for the right time. Stop feeding confusion. Program your mind like a master. Train the image until it becomes instinct. Build it in the invisible until no force on earth can stop it from becoming visible. That is the law. That is the way. And that is how you rise.